Okay.
Hi, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. My name is Woof.
And I'm Billi Free, and today we are joined by Des of the Pie Sisters. I'm going to tell you a little bit about them. The Pie Sisters, also known as Pie, have spent the past few years crafting a super unique sound in the music scene of West Texas, specifically El Paso. With a blend of R&B, soul, and lyricism, they have become a celebrated fixture in the music community, captivating audiences with renditions of classics and their heartfelt original compositions. Their authentic passion for songwriting, undeniable family charisma, and harmonious performances create an unforgettable experiences that resonates deeply with listeners. And so it is my pleasure to have Jez of the Pie Sisters, 1/4 of the Pie Sisters, here today to react with us.
It's an honor to be here. I'm excited to be part of this.
All right, with that being said, we'll dive into a song called Oh Yaara by an artist called Abdul Hannan and a band called Kaavish. So without further ado, let's dive into it. 3, 2, 1, and play.
Coke Studio, Season 15.
Captions. We got to turn the captions on.
क्या बताऊं इन सवालों में कब से यूं फंसाऊं राख सारे सफ़े पर लिख रहा हूं फसाने में जिंदगी के मन को कैसे और कैसे बहलाऊं
Nice voice.
टुकड़े कांच के बिखरे जमीन पर चलना चाहूं पर छाया है कदम ये दुआ सांस लेना सजा वफा तो बाजार में बिकती एक चेहरा हकीकतें ढेर सारी क्यों लगे हैं खुद की खोज में सब ही हाल दिल में अब कैसे समझाऊं है ये उलझे दानों सा मेरी सोचों का जहां टुकड़े कांच के बिखरे जमीन पर चलना चाहूं पर छाया है हर कदम ये दुआ सांस लेना सजा
I want to cry. I definitely, I'm feeling it in my nose right here.
Sweet.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah.
I छोड़ आस की डोर को, सच तू समझ जाएगा ओ यारा, फिर तू संभल जाएगा।
Well,
Hmm.
I'm stunned. I give you a little context before we start.
yes, please.
Hey, Billy, you and I have heard a few songs in different languages from the country. This one is in the Urdu language.
Mm,
And we've talked a little bit about the Urdu language and how it's like a polite language, and you can tell Urdu is being spoken when you hear it. And this is typically how you hear it when you talk in Urdu. That's how you talk. All this to say, it's a language of poetry, and it's pretty beautiful. And the second band, I'll say, the guy from the band who comes in at the end, they're a classical band, and they're singing the form of music they sing is called ghazal. It's like an evening sort of form of music from like the 12th century, but it's typically sung in the evening time. You sit outside, and yeah, and it goes on for hours. So that's the semi-classical part. And then the young guy, I mean, what a voice.
Thank you for that context. Yes,
Yes.
I want to hear your thoughts.
One of the beautiful things about hope is how you can feel it even if you don't understand the language. You know, that hope is extremely universal. It is something that you can see in someone's eyes, even if they're not, you know, the same ethnicity, they don't share the same culture, even the same views, but you see it in their demeanor, you see it in the way they sing the song. And even if you removed the subtitles for me, I would be able to feel it in the way that it was sung, in the way they presented themselves throughout this video. And I love songs that give you the truth. You know, they give you the hard truth in the beginning, say, hey, this is it, it's difficult, we're trudging. And the repetitive line that I got was, it feels like glass is shattered, that I'm choking in smoke. That's the line I kept seeing here. And then it coming to the end with that outro bridge that just reminded us of who we are, even in the midst of the trials, even in the midst of that tribulation, even in the midst of feeling like we are shattered glass or that we're choking on the smoke, because it's so easy for us to get caught up in that pain and in that misery and in that hopelessness. And so beautiful way that they portrayed it, especially when they made it multi-generational. They didn't just have a certain age in this video. They brought us back to, oh, this is my mom, this is my grandma, you know. And I mean, metaphor after metaphor, I could see it as he was walking through the streets. I mean, even climbing those steps. And I think, I mean, I could dissect that all the way to the late evening, but I love how they reminded you that hope spans the generations. It spans generations, it crosses seas, and it's not just, you know, people always talk about, oh, first world problems, second, third world problems, but regardless, if we take out that first part, it's a problem. And it's a problem that we all go through we all go through that kind of hurt. We all go through that kind of pain. We experience those kinds of that shattered glass moment, or moments in our life, or that feeling like we are choking on something. We all experience that. That is universal, but then so is hope simultaneously. And it was just, that's why I kept saying I wanted to cry, because of I resonated with that to a T. I resonated with that.
There's something to be said about that visual narrative, people driving that, the filmmakers. The thing that while we're talking about visuals here, I'm sorry, Billi, I'm just gonna hand it to you in just a moment here.
Please continue.
You're talking about multi-generational stuff and inclusivity, and I think it was a very powerful thing when there was a moment in the song where it feels a little hopeful, and they show a woman with a book. She bought a book and she's walking out the store. There's just something there. I just it felt good to see that. It's kind of got a book. I bought my book and I'm walking out the store with this empowered knowledge. I don't know, just something. I can't quite articulate it, but that sticks out in my head from a visual perspective. Anyway, hey, Billi.
When you said that, I'm like, she just bought the Urdu version of The Alchemist.
Yeah.
And then this song is playing in the background. So I'm gonna continue where you all left off with sort of the lyrical analysis. I was confused when the singer from Kaavish came on, because I was like, okay, well, who's this guy?
Yeah.
And then I heard his voice and I was like, I don't know who this guy is, but he's amazing. And I just love these like dissonant chords and these like runs. And the response, right? The response to the first singer, who is super sweet, super precious, this sort of like mentor role. Like one of the lyrics was, "Don't let go of the string of hope."
Yeah.
And for me, that was a perfect response to the first singer, who seemed like he was yearning for fulfillment.
Yeah.
The lyric that popped out to me was, "Thick smoke shrouds my inner core." And I was like, damn, like, wow. Like that is a powerful bar right there for me. And it speaks to uncertainty, and it speaks to uncertainty of one's own truth. And for me, this was just full of feeling. And interesting that you spoke the way you did about the Urdu language, number one being boring, but super sweet, but also this language of poetry, and the fact that these types of songs and this style were sung in the evening, probably in a setting very similar to what was happening in the video. It really just made sense to me. It made it super cohesive. I'm not sure if I would imagine that the producers and the director were going for that. This was a new setting, very interesting.
It's all a set.
Yeah, it seemed, compared to the other videos, it seemed kind of European.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know. Maybe there's a place in Pakistan in the cities where they look very similar to that. There was also a focus on painting. I don't know if there was any like cultural significance to that, but there were several shots of the woman painting and somebody else painting. The song was very sweet and precious and quiet, which I thought was really interesting compared to the other songs that are like super high, upbeat.
We've heard a few.
And there was this very classic rock feeling that I got from it, which again speaks to the fusion that we've been talking about since the beginning of this season, and really throughout the seasons. Which I think it's great. Again, I think they did it very well. I want to talk a little bit also about the instrumentation. Super going into this idea of this observation of the song being very quiet, very sweet. The drums were very subtle.
Yeah.
The guitar was heavy, but light, they focused in on several different stringed instruments. The one that the guy was playing, where it was sort of laying down, the sound that came out of that resonated from that just hit me really hard, especially as it was accompanying the singers' voices. So a lot of subdued string instruments, and also shout out to Ableton, because the keys player had like Ableton in the background, and I was like, oh, I know that program.
Wild stuff. Yeah.
Digital audio workstations. Hopefully, maybe they have some sort of partnership or something. So I don't put it past Coke Studio to like do product placement. I don't.
Yeah, well,
very subtle, but I don't.
Whoever's mixing it, I mean,
I
think they know what they're doing, right? That's you can hear everything that you need to at the moment that it needs to be heard. And that is something, that's a skill, man. That's just beautiful. I also heard, like, I got country western twang vibes from it too.
I heard that as well.
And that's a fusion I never thought I'd hear with the ghazal genre, So it's like, on that note, Kaavish is a singer that comes in at the end. His mother sang ghazals, and she was a poet for like 50 years or something like that. So I think he's kind of continuing her legacy, and he probably wrote the song too.
I was going to also point out that I could see a little bit of the Western culture influence in the way that they recorded this video as well. That's the live performance that people love, the recording of that live performance, and that being something that's a lot more common now, as opposed to just seeing a music video and obviously them lip syncing to their own song, right? And I think that goes with makes it very personable and makes it come off raw, especially with what they're singing about. And even going back to the call and response kind of thing that you were talking about, Billi, where it was the gentleman singing first about that yearning, right? And then ending it with that other gentleman who was singing about hope and that reminder. And even again, just looking at, I mean, you mentioned it or you guys had mentioned it earlier, that the first guy was younger. And then it looks like the second one was not around the same age, unless I'm
no, you're right.
Can't really tell. So then again, going back to this multi-generational thing and seeing that the second gentleman singing and him being older is like speaking from the past, kind of from someone with more experience, or even just someone with a lot of years under their belt of what they've gone through in their life, who can be able to say, okay, it looks like it does look like where you're headed to. I mean, every time the next generation comes around, it's always a new set of issues, right? And it's this either evolved issue, ongoing issue, or just a completely new one that we don't know how to tackle. And it's like the generations prior to us, our parents, our grandparents, speaking that reminder over us and going, there is still hope. We survived, and not even just survived, we thrived in what we had to go through in our life, in our lifetime. And if we can do it, you can as well. And then we see the juxtaposition of the way they chose to present the song, and then even what the song is about. Because it could, honestly, we hear a lot of songs now. When we hear an example, we hear breakup songs, they're a lot more upbeat and pop and all in the majors, right? Not so much of the minors anymore. So you would expect to hear, okay, there are songs like this could be in all in the major key, right? This could be that the drums could be heavier, even the vocals could they can take it more from the gut, or they can belt it. But instead you have these singers and even gentlemen, and a lot of it, even seeing them tap into a softer side that you wouldn't expect coming from a man. I'll just say that, coming from someone like, and them tapping into that and going, uh presenting that to us, and again reminding us that the the songs don't have to be traditional when we talk about hope, or when we talk about heartbreak. And the beauty of that is being able to look at it and go, that that kind of way to present music spans over everything that we have conceived to be the way music has to be presented. And which is great because it's breaking through all of the traditions of it. I mean, growing up, our parents thought, oh, this, I mean, we'll go to the 80s and the 90s and 70s, and music has done this beautiful evolution through those years. And then when our parents listen to our music now, it's hard for them to process, because they would expect that this song would only be sung or would only be performed in this manner. And we're over here breaking these barriers, and even across the pond, breaking these barriers in different languages and in different cultures. And it, again, if you took the subtitles off, it's still showing me that there is hope. I can still feel the story. I can still relate to the story. And I'm a new fan now.
Well, it's so insightful. You kind of stole half the things I wanted to just blurt out, but that's great. Yeah. No, but that's the point. I mean, it's a testament to like how the filmmakers chose to sort of navigate the visual part of this, right? They really stuck the landing there, they really did. And yeah, and even without even if you didn't know Urdu, it didn't have any captions on it, it would, the mood and the vibes would definitely come through. And even like if you were listening to it, the younger guy ends up humming the older guy's chorus at the end, meaning like he sort of like, he's like, okay, I think I got this. Maybe he's like, there's like a upward trajectory of like the narrative that's left for us, for the viewer to sort of decide. Maybe it's so maybe it's a song about vulnerability, but an optimistic one as well at the same time.
Yes. That was perfect, just because the comment that I left out earlier was about community, and all of these videos I see a community, but I really saw a different aspect of community here. Even there was someone sweeping, and the way, and like as the guy was walking past, and he gave the older woman a flower, and then you see this woman walking out of the bookstore, really sort of honing in on that idea of community, and that idea of like several generations creating community in this setting. And then to speak to this idea of like older generations and younger generations, I think it's interesting that you pointed that out, because the second singer's advice was very simple, right? Have hope. While this guy is like, oh, like I'm dying, like my inner cord shrouded with thick smoke.
Bro.
And the guy was just like, don't let go of this string of hope. It's a shattered glass. And he's like, don't let go of the string of hope, right? And I think that perhaps older generations don't understand the nuance of the younger generation's problems, but the tried and true wisdom that can be passed down to the younger generation, things that actually stick, are very simple. And this wisdom has been passed on from generation to generation to generation, and is a gift to this current generation. And hopefully they keep that, and are able to distill it and then deliver it to the next generation. So I'm so glad that you brought that forth, because it made me think more about what I was hearing, right? As you said, even with the captions on, even though they were all on the whole time.
No to commenters.
Yes.
Commenters.
Yes.
It resonates and it radiates, and that can still come through. And I love that point you brought up, that the first singer was singing that refrain from the second singer, right? And that is that passing on, right, of the baton of that wisdom. Super beautiful.
Yes. It's so funny because you brought up how the first guy was over here crying. I mean, this generation is so dramatic. We're over here with all these metaphors, and we dance around it, and we're so poetic, and it's incredible. We're artistic, and then the older generation just goes straight up like, chill. Here's hope.
Yeah. I like that he didn't. I like that Kaavish didn't offer a resolve. It was more like just chill. You got it. Things will come through. Just think about it. Just have patience and think.
Yeah.
And now I gotta watch this again because
Beautiful.
some of this commentary, I missed some of it. Clearly, this is why I have people on, so they could tell me about some of the stuff. You know, it's more of a learning thing for me too. So now I'm gonna go back and watch this again. But
I mean, even like when Billi brought up community too, that there was also, you could see that the first gentleman walking alone and the second one sitting with a group of people.
Yeah.
And it's there's that even reminder that, because then and then the older lady giving him that rose, and just speaks to how we tend to find ourselves in the midst of our of what we're struggling with, to isolate ourselves. It is so easy for us to isolate ourselves and sit in that, and to a point that's okay, but then community is integral. I mean, Abel was bringing up community, and it wasn't even, you didn't even see people doing anything complicated. They were just living their life, but they were in community. And it was just this tribe mentality at the end, when the gentleman was sitting in the midst of the people sharing this artistry and sharing the music. And then it again, I mean, reminder that there's hope, but then that there's hope in community, that you don't have to go through this alone, and you don't have to you don't have to heal alone either, because hope is, I mean, hope requires multiple people to be able to cling on to that. And again, to a point, you can heal on your own, up until a specific line, and then the rest is, are you going to allow someone to come in and see those blind spots that you couldn't see? And are you going, and then this yearning that this guy had in the beginning, sitting there pondering as the video ended, holding on to that rose. I mean, he may not have ended with a group of people, but I mean, I think there was a lot of him even maybe pondering on this, the thought of what he needs to do now that he's pointed out, now that he's acknowledged the issue, now that he's acknowledged where he's hurting, and going, okay, I need people. I need to go back to my roots, if anything. And for me personally, that's where I find myself every time I'm hitting a wall, and I'm experiencing a different kind of pain or heartbreak, that I have to experience it. I have to acknowledge it. I have to feel it through. And then I go, okay, I felt it. I've cried this out. Now let me go back to my roots. Let me go back to that lady just sweeping, the person just painting, you know, all the simplicities of life, these simple pleasures that are pertinent to your healing, and to accepting that kind of hope in these different, wherever you're, whatever region. And even for them to be able to do that there, and reminding us that wherever you are, the hope, returning to the root, community, universal.
Community is a huge part of these songs, and the reason they sort of have this platform is because every song we've watched, Ably, you can testify to this, like If you didn't have the community aspect to the song, it'd just be people yelling shit. And then, you know, that's basically what it would come down to. And you would not get the context, because context comes from, it takes a village, So that's kind of the,
Yes.
yeah.
So I want to add, as we close here, add some questions for our listening audience that I just thought of. Hopefully that's okay. The first one is, I want to come back to this setting, right? What cities in Pakistan are like this setting? Can you tell us a little bit about it? Can you tell us the significance of the people painting, because it was focused on a lot? And can you tell us more about the strings instruments that were played in the video? We would love to hear from you. We know you all are experts in the field, so we want to that you educate us as well, and we make this a participatory community activity.
Jess, I hope, thanks for coming. I really hope you join us in the future, along with the rest of the Pie sisters.
Yes. We'll drag them over here next time.
Yeah. Other than that, that's all we have for today. Thank you for joining us. Till the next time. Cheers.
Ciao.